PDAC 2024, day number 2, our last interview. And yeah, we are here now diving directly into the precious metals and base metals space. We are at the booth of Eloro Resources, and with me is CEO Tom Larsen. Tom, how are you?
Tim, good to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Last time I think was in England at the conference, London conference,
Mines and Money, London. Yeah, that's right.
About a year and a half ago.
Yeah, that's right. So how's the show so far? Looks a little busy to me.
A lot busier than last year. It's great to see. Obviously, people are starting to realize just how undervalued a lot of companies are, especially with the underlying commodity prices starting to, I believe, bottom out.
Yeah. So Eloro Resources, you made a large discovery in Colombia where you found at least 1.15 billion ounces of silver equivalent. Could you give us current status of the project?
Well, actually, it's in Bolivia.
Oh, I'm sorry for that.
In the Potosi district, southern Bolivia, which is one of the most well-recognized mining jurisdictions in the world. Underexplored, however, from the standpoint of foreign investment. We entered the area in 2020, January of 2020. We signed a deal, a $10 million buy-in deal. We've raised over $50 million to date and have drilled over 120,000 meters so far. What that has done is it's outlined a major first pass inaugural MRE, mineral resource estimate, a 43-101 inferred resource with economics. But remember, well, maybe you don't, but the whole idea of what we were doing was trying to outline the extent of the system within the 9.5 square kilometer volcanic edifice. So 100-meter spacings, we came out with a huge endowment of metal, over 295 million ounces of silver in situ, close to 1.5 million tons of zinc, over 1 million tons of lead, and also 135,000 tons of tin, totally underexplored, but deemed as probably the 10th largest tin resource discovery, basically backed by the International Tin Association. So I think the first pass MRE we were very, very pleased with. The market, however, didn't take it so well. There were certain factions that were expecting much higher grades, which really is an impossibility when you initially drill 100-meter spacings. So what we embarked on from September until December was a 6,000-meter drilling campaign with definition infill drilling to upgrade the underreported, what we believe, silver resource of that deposit. And we certainly, with that 6,000 meters of drilling, proved that the infill silver equivalents and silver itself were dramatically higher. So we're in the midst now of upgrading our MRE, our first pass. We've done enough drilling to do that. You will see another resource with valuation of silver equivalent of NSR, net smelter return, coming into the market over the next couple of months.
Okay, so you recently announced some excellent drill results and also IP survey results. Could you comment a little bit on that?
Yeah, so that was part of the program from September when we received the negative reaction from the marketplace about Iska Iska. So we, again, with the infill drilling, continued results from that, from 4 press releases that we came out with in early December, was well received by the market. The final press release out of the 4 was an IP survey, which basically extends the strike length potentially for another 400, 600 meters, even though the strike length already is only 1,400 meters. I mean, just showing the sheer size of this. The chargeability signatures from the IP survey are very conducive, similar to what we have in the starter pit. So we're very comfortable and confident that that will bring in more metal of silver, zinc especially, in the coming months.
Okay, so you also announced some success at the metallurgical stuff. So could you comment a little bit on this?
Metallurgically, because you're dealing with a multi-metal deposit, this is one of the largest multi-metal deposits discovered in the world in the last 30, 40 years. This is how serious this is. And metallurgically, that was the criticism again that was there. Would it be recoverable metals when separating? However, with an extensive amount of work that delayed our original MRE to make sure that the metallurgical studies that were overseen, supervised by Mike Hollywell, a tin metallurgist primarily, highly recognized out of Cornwall, England. He oversaw the metallurgy, not only the metallurgical recoveries that were very, very good, but also the TOMRA company that runs an XRT ore sorting type of system out of Germany, Waddell, Germany. Fantastic technology, which is proving much greater recoveries on the metal, which will translate into much higher concentrates at the end of the day.
So besides all this, you are also working on a PEA. When do you expect first numbers out of them?
So what we're doing, all this information that we brought in and what took the MRE, what delayed the MRE, was to get the metallurgy properly in sync. And that's why the metallurgy that we've done is basically PEA level. And that was the reason we had to convert to NSR valuation, net smelter return valuation, rather than silver equivalent, where we came out with 1.2 billion ounces of silver equivalent. All that information is in hand. We have to do a bit more definition infill drilling, but our objective is to get to between 200 to 250 million tons in pit first pass, showing the first 5 years out of potentially 30, 40-year mine life to get that payback. So that the PEA is being focused in on that first 250 million tons, moving it up from 140 million tons. Probably another 10,000 meters of that infill drilling will meet that test for us. So I would say at the end of the year, I'm not going to pigeonhole myself the way I did about when the PEA is going to come out. That was my mistake last year. You're dealing with such a big deposit. Apologies to those that expected the MRE to come out earlier than it did, but it came out later because the metallurgical work became very, very advanced. And so, but I 2 steps. MRE advancement, you'll see that in the next 2 months, 3 months, probably 2 months, and then PEA before the end of the year.
Okay, so these are the most important milestones for the next 12 months.
Yes.
Say that way. And a resource estimate?
Resource estimate right now, I would say we should see 200 to 250 million tons of infill. We don't have to take this thing to 1 billion tons of basic mineralization, but just focus in on the first 200 to 250 million tons, because that will give you your 10-year mine life, which is adequate for a proper NSR, and more so, a proper NPV, net present value model.
So many things to do, many work to do, means you need some cash. So what's cash in the bank?
No, our cash is dropping off a little bit. I mean, we're financed. We actually sent out a press release today. We have a very strong relationship with the local partners. We've worked very hard on our Bolivian relationships. And because of that, and the amount of work, and I think Dr. Osvaldo Arce, our in-country manager, who's just led the effort of making sure socially, ESG, everything's looked after. The owners of the property that Dr. Osvaldo Arce is very close to. And the great thing is it's private ownership. So we bypass cooperativas and Comabol and communities mostly. That's why it's going to be a fast track when we actually go into some form of production. But I'm looking at right now, the payment schedule has been pushed out a year for both parties' benefit. So we're very light on our commitments, 500,000 rather than 5 million in July. And I think the market might have taken a look at that, having seen a lot of short covering from those that were looking forward to seeing our stock go lower and lower. Too bad, not happening.
Okay, so let's come to the last question. How is the current status of the mining in Bolivia? How is support by government and all that stuff? Could you comment a little bit on that?
Bolivia has always had that sort of dark sort of factor due to it's a small country, small population. Politics are there's a lot of nationalism and concern. But one thing that people have to realize about Bolivia, its main contribution to GDP for the last 200 years has been mining. And these are massive multi-metal type mining operations. So we were very fortunate to get in. We have one of our top directors is head principal of PPO legal, very, very close with the mines minister. We're working with them on showing comfort to those much larger balance sheets that might want to come in and develop these very, very lucrative concentrates. And by doing that, engaging the government in letters of sort of comfort, of guarantees. So as what Ecuador has been doing recently. And so that's what we're working towards, because at the end of the day, I think you need to really make this thing go, because it is a 30, 50-year mine life. You're going to want to have a big player really moving this along. So that's the job that we're doing now. But I'll tell you, compared to our neighbors, Bolivia, especially in the last 6-8 months, is starting to get a little respect from the standpoint that we can do business, foreigners can do business in the country.
Okay, wonderful. So, Tom, thank you very much for this insight in the company and into the country, Bolivia. And yeah, thank you very much for this insight.
Tim, always a pleasure seeing you.
Thanks for the time. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it, Eloro Resources, much work to do, many results coming out in the next 12 months. So I would say silver is getting hot, Eloro is even hotter. Check out the company and bye-bye from the PDAC 2024.